Well, hello there, everybody. We made it all the way to episode 10. You are
Woohoo!
listening, what, right? We are listening to Teaching Band from the beginning. I am your host, Tim Basil, and back in the saddle again is our guest host, Olivia Spell. Olivia, how are you?
Hanging in there, Mr. Basil. How are you?
Like always, right?
Like
So
always.
you took a little vacay, which was
Just
kind of cool. And then,
cool is an understatement. I mean,
why?
there were good drugs on said vacay for our listeners out there. Went through a little emergency gallbladder removal, which was a good time, but now we're back.
Now you're back.
Now we're back.
Rock on. Did they let you keep it? That's a weird
No,
question.
it's not a weird
No?
question. So my mom actually had her gallbladder out when she was just a little bit older than I am. I think she was closer to 40, and she has her gallstones. And I they never asked if I wanted to keep them, but Robbie, my 4-year-old son, definitely was very curious. And
Ew.
I would have loved to show him, but no, my mom actually has hers. So they just
You,
look like
that could
little
be
rocks.
part of your homeschooling. If we don't go back
Oh my
to
gosh.
regular school, you can do science with your kid.
Yeah, we can dissect gallstones. Perfect. Great. Lesson number
See,
one.
there you go. And then I thought my news was exciting. I got a haircut.
Woohoo! Quarantine
And
cut.
right. So yours was probably cost more than mine.
Did you? Oh, yeah, I can't. Well, no, I had a baby in January, so all my deductibles were met. So when they were like, let's have gallbladder surgery, Ryan was like, yeah, let's do it. All your deductibles are met. You go for it.
Right. Yeah, the perfect timing, right?
What else we need
Like, what
done?
else can we do while we're here?
Exactly. Hey,
Oh my
did
god.
you wear a mask when you got your hair cut?
I did, and the rule, and I don't know if this is like a state rule or the barbershop's rule, but they said one you wear it when you come in, and then once you sit down in the chair, you can take it off.
Oh,
And
that's
then
not too
and
bad.
then Kevin, who cut my hair at Glenn's Barbershop in Clayton, North Carolina, shout
Woo-hoo.
out to Glenn's. Then he wore a mask while he cut my hair. And then when
Okay.
I was done, got out of the chair, I put it back on. So
Oh, that's not too
that's
bad
how
at
that.
all.
No, it really wasn't. It wasn't. So anyway, well, that's exciting. We got all caught up and
So now we're
now
back.
while you were gone, Miss Spell, we had a listener, a friend of the show, call in and leave a voice message asking us to speak about a particular topic. And so what I thought we would do is play her message and her question, and then we can just talk about the topic. So if that's good with you, we'll just go to it
I
and
love
check it
that.
out.
That's awesome.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. And action.
My name is Karen, and I teach 4th and 5th grade band in New Jersey. My question is, what methods do you use to encourage students to practice at home? Students are often overscheduled, undermotivated, or worse yet, discouraged because of the noise. I see students giving up more often when they don't get it right away.
Well, that's a cool question. How do
That's
you
a
get your
great
kids? How do
question.
you get your kids to practice? And I thought about it, and I when I taught middle school, I had come up with kind of a way to, and I guess like a way to package it. It's all in how you package it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You want there to be a way for the students to be excited about succeeding.
Right.
What
Being
what
a
I
good
always
band director is part being a good car salesman.
right, that's right. Well, and you put it in their terms. I would tell the students that, yeah, there's homework in band, but it's the coolest homework you'll have, right? You might have to write a paragraph for English class. You might have to solve these 10 problems, but then you get to play your band instrument.
Right.
And if your mom says that's too loud, then I would tell them that they would say, "But mom, this is homework for school," and how could they argue against that?
Right.
And our prior guest, Paul Black, he said when they were working on Just Mouthpiece, he called it Operation Annoy Your Family. And I thought that was genius, because what kid doesn't want to go home and do that?
Oh,
And
absolutely.
so I think it's all how you frame it and all how you package it. And then the other thing that, and I'm going to go through a couple of ways that have been successful for me. But the other thing you want to look at is, does what you're doing help? We talk about differentiation a lot. You have your kids that are late bloomers. You have your kids that are right smack in the middle of the road, and you have your high flyers. Is the way you're presenting your material helping all those groups? And so I kind of narrowed it down to like 4 things.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe I would just list all 4 real fast and then go back and talk about each one.
Sounds good.
About that? Okay.
Yeah.
So the first one is, at the beginning of the grading period, I would give the kids or assign all of the playing tests right at the very beginning, however many there are, 9 or 10 or however many there are, and give them the list of those at the very beginning of the marking period, as opposed to handing the assignments out like one by one. All right. The second one is with the middle schoolers, I would let them choose. Now that they had a list, I would let them choose which ones they wanted to quiz on first or second or third, and let them choose the order. Okay. The third one is, we have this rule that was, you can always retake a quiz. If you play a quiz, you can always retake it. How many times or how often? Unlimited. And I think, well, there's always limits. It would probably be like the end of the grading period. But allowing students to go away, practice what they got wrong, and then come back and play it again. And then the fourth one that kind of goes along with the third one is the rule that says your original grade can never go down. So if they score an 80, there's no chance of them coming, well, what if I play it worse the second time? That 80 is never going to go down. So those are the 4, I don't know, for a lack of a better term, rules.
Right. Criteria.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. So let's go back up to the first one. You give all the quizzes, and let's just talk about what you call them. Sometimes you can call them tests or quizzes. There's different pass-offs, proficiency.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of different assignments, assessments, tasks, that you can call them. Some kids freak out when they hear the word quiz or test.
Right.
And so maybe it's a pass-off, or it's a proficiency, or an assignment even. But what I would do is I would give them out, and it was called like a choice board. So it would look like a tic-tac-toe board, or maybe a bingo card, depending on how many. There would be boxes on the sheet. And I would show them that you don't have to play the first one first. They can bounce around, because this quiz might be more difficult for me, but really easy for you. And that kind of puts the learning process in their hands. Yeah. And what I did was, I learned the hard way that if these kids are going to have this sheet for the entire 9 weeks, I put it on cardstock, just so that it would be more durable.
Yeah.
And then, like I said before, with the packaging, I would make different colors, like either the grade or the class or the instrument group, and they loved making up names for the different color. Like, they would make a name for their team based on the color of that sheet for that grading period or whatever. So giving them everything ahead of time, now they can start looking at stuff weeks ahead of time.
Sure.
Right. And not having to wait for you to assign it. The second one, students choose the order. I found this to be good because not every student is going to think that every assignment is the same difficulty level. Just
Right.
for instance, if they're learning the B flat scale, a 1 octave B flat scale is going to be easier for a beginner flute player than a beginning clarinet player.
Right. Or
so
trumpet.
The clarinet player might want to wait and practice it. And there's also, you tell the kids, hey, there's strategies. Like, do I want to do the easy ones first, get them out of the way? Or do I want to try to tackle the harder ones first so that I have more opportunity to retake them?
Right.
So there's some strategy involved, and different kids will choose different strategies based on their learning style.
Right. And then I think, second to that, and that will help guide what they're practicing at home based on what they choose is going to be their pass off for the week. So, flutes might be doing their B flat scale, but clarinets might choose to do, concert F or concert E flat, something like that. That's a little more comfortable for them. But regardless, it's still helping guide their practice at home.
Right. And something else that I've done is, let's say I assign a line in the book, and let's say it's on staccatos, right? That's the main thing in the line. I'm assessing their skills to play staccato. I might say the assignment might be line 17 or 18, and maybe both lines incorporate staccatos, but one's in concert B flat and one's in concert E flat.
Right.
And let the student choose which one they like better or suits them better. And it doesn't really make a matter. It doesn't really make a difference because both of them assess staccatos.
This is the staccato. And chances are they're going to practice both lines to see which one they're better at.
And we're going to play both in class.
And you're going to play both in class. But if they think that they're getting to choose, they're having that ownership, if you will, over the pass off, then I think that piques their interest. And once they have that ownership, then they'll want to do that more. Right. But regardless, they're still practicing it.
Correct. And that's the incentive to practice, is to give them ownership. Gone are the days of remember the old practice log?
Yeah, and I don't think they're completely gone. I think some people still use them, but I remember when I taught middle school, I had some kids openly admit, "Oh yeah, my mom just signs a bunch of these at the beginning of the semester, and then I just fill them in whether I do it or not." And that was a big eye opener for the good old practice log.
I found it to be just an opportunity for parents to lie to the teacher. Really.
Oh yeah.
And if you want to do some sort of log, and I think these were based on the ones that I used when I was a student and before I started using this way, the main point of the practice log was how many minutes did you practice?
Right. How much did you practice?
And not
no emphasis on what did you practice
and the quality of the practicing. Right. So maybe if you're going to do some type of log, it's questions like, what did you work on this week? What got better? What didn't get better? Why do you think it didn't get better? Those types of things.
For sure.
So then the next two really, I think, have really encouraged practicing outside of class more. The fact that you can always retake a quiz for a higher grade. All right, let's look at if a student plays something for you and they get the grade, and that's the end all of the grade, right? The grade is the grade. If they are playing, I'm a clarinet player and I'm playing a concert G scale, and I get up to the top and I'm supposed to play F sharp, but I play F natural. And I say, oh, that's going to be 85 because I can't give you an A if you're not playing the correct key signature.
Right.
There's your grade. Moving on. Are they going to go home and fix that? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
But if you frame it like this, if you can retake it, hey, you know what? I gave you an 89. I can't give you a 90 because you need to play the correct key signature. Which one did you play wrong? Right, the F sharp. Show me F sharp. Good. Go home and practice that. Fix that F to an F sharp. Come back tomorrow and play it for me, and we'll see if you can go up. That's a huge incentive for kids to go home and practice it now that they have the opportunity to come back and raise their grade.
Right.
Right. And then the other one is their original grade can never go down. And that's always a question that kids have. What if I play it again and it's worse? Well, that's not an incentive to play it again.
Right.
It's not an incentive to go home and practice. So your original score can never go down. And allowing the students to be able to replay and retake, that's called, what do they call it? Teaching to mastery.
Ooh,
Right.
look
So,
at you with the big fancy
right.
term.
Thank you. What? Well, teaching to mastery is teaching it and practicing it until you get it. Right. And here's my analogy. You ready, Miss Spell? This is for, I want everyone to use this if you want. Anyway, if my child goes to the DMV to take her driving test and she fails it, can she come back tomorrow and take it again? Yes. Right? Now, she comes back tomorrow and she passes it. Did they average the two scores together? Or did she pass it and now she passed it?
That's right.
And, right? And how many times can you retake it? As many times as you need to raise that grade. And when I look at it that way, yeah, that's teaching to mastery. And like what I said before, that is the biggest incentive for kids to go home and keep working on the stuff and keep practicing. So those are the 4 criteria that I used with middle school. And it really, I saw a huge difference in kids coming in the next day or, during the week or whatever, showing improvement. Now, here are we talked before about the late bloomers and the middle of the roaders and the high flyers.
Yeah.
So when they can choose which ones they want to do, the high flyers might be doing one a day and choosing the hardest ones. And if they get to the end, if they get all of the quizzes done, I can give them the one for the next marking period and they can work ahead. For your late bloomers, and I don't know how many times I've had a late bloomer become one of my best players. And it's on the side of the teacher, patience. Not every student learns at the same pace. And allowing students to go back and retake a quiz, maybe it's something we learned in class 3 weeks ago. And now something just clicks and they get it. Why not let them go back and show you their skills now that they understand it better and can play it better?
And then it kind of goes into the retakes. Or, I don't know about you, but I always give, if a kid at least tries, that's a 60. You put forth some effort. It's playing test day. You have to do something. It's always, it starts at a 60. And like you said, they can come back and take it anytime they want to. If it's 3 weeks later, when the dotted quarter note finally sticks, then it's 3 weeks later. But like you said, I think that also kind of rolls over back to what we were talking about, the ownership, letting them decide, are they going to soar through? Are they going to take it at your pace? Do they need to move a little slower? Regardless, they're practicing. They're doing something.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with taking part of your class, and it can be 3 minutes, it can be 4 minutes, and just say, all right, everybody, I need you to work on whatever it is that you need to work on.
Right.
Ready, go. And, you know, now they're choosing what to work on. And they're not, it's not like you have to work on this. It's more like you get to work on this.
Right. And you create that time for them to have some practice.
Right, exactly. And then the other thing I would do is we did each day, and it was only like 5 minutes, but I would set a timer for 5 minutes and say, who needs to retake a quiz? And you would have hands go up. And what are you retaking? All right, go play it. And if it didn't go up, I would tell them what they need to do to have the grade go up. And you know, the feedback, you tell them what was wrong with it, how to fix it, and give them the opportunity to go away and fix it.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you mentioned that, because I'm sure our listeners are wondering, you know, so we're talking about practicing and how we've gotten kids to practice. And I think a huge part of encouraging practicing is through assessments or pass offs or whatever you want to call it. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So how do you incorporate so many pass offs? It sounds a little overwhelming thinking about a whole grading period worth. How did you incorporate those into, you know, daily, weekly, Google Classroom, things of that nature?
What I did was I would look at their quiz sheet and kind of use it for me as like a pacing guide. Like, hey, I need to make sure that I teach this concept because it's on their list of quizzes.
Okay.
And I would also tell them and remind them that, you know, we're not going to do just these 9 things in the grading period, or just these 10 things. For instance, it says on here, one of your quizzes is line 10. Well, lines 1 through 9 are going to make you better on line 10. So
Right.
practice lines 1 through 9 on your own and in class, and that's going to help you with that line 10. And what I would try to do was, the reason I started setting a timer is because I would lose track of time and take
For
up too much
sure.
class time. So I said, okay, guys, we're starting with flutes today. 5 minutes, set the timer. Next. If you take too long and you're trying to decide what to play, you might get skipped. You got to be ready right away. Know what you're going to play. Boom, 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 boom. Timer goes off. Okay, we stopped with Steven. So tomorrow we'll start where we left off. Okay.
Right.
You can do before class, after class. A lot of middle schools have like a remediation period.
Oh, yeah.
And what I try to do is go scoop up all the band kids that any of the other teachers are willing to part with. And that is on your own practice time. And then I walk by and they can grab me and say, hey, can I play this quiz for you? And see if they can raise it like that. Does that answer your question? I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, so you would do a little bit each day. Right. Or did you ever do like, all right, today is concert F day. Everybody's playing concert F, like whole assessment days?
Right. Or, hey, everybody's got to play something. Like, because if they can choose what the quiz is,
right,
everybody's got to play something.
Cool.
All right. It doesn't matter. You know, it's got to be from the list, but everyone has to attempt something. And then the other thing I did was I realized that if technically the due date for all of them are the end of the grading period, you're going to have kids that are going to wait till the very end. Yeah. Those guys. Right? So what I did was we put benchmarks and say, on this date, you have to have at least 3 completed. Doesn't matter which 3, but you have to have at least 3 completed. And then do it that way so that kind of keep a way to pace the kids.
Right.
So that they're not waiting to the last minute. And so that they can have more opportunities to retake and retake.
Sure. So, very cool.
Yeah, and I let that, we called it I think we called it pass offs, and we let that drive. Like I said before, it drives the it's like a pacing guide for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got that. We haven't covered that yet. I need to make sure I cover that in class.
Right.
So, that sort of thing. So, and that's how I would hit it from the middle school end.
Awesome. Well, I just want to talk briefly, high school, the practice log. That's my favorite question. Going to talk to the 8th graders, do you guys have any questions about high school band? There's always one kid. Are there practice logs in high school?
Yeah.
And, the quick answer is no, there are not formal practice logs in high school. There's terror and intimidation. No, I'm just kidding. But a lot of it goes back to that ownership and making them, have a part in the decision and making them want to get better at it. So, a couple different ways we try to accomplish that in high school. We do a playing test, because we got to have grades. We got to put something in
Sure.
PowerSchool.
Got to have grades.
You got to have grades. So we do that with our scales and excerpts from pieces and stuff. But I've found one of the biggest ways to get kids to practice in high school is, the spontaneous down the line. All right, flutes, we're struggling at measure 14. Here we go. Let's hear it.
What did the kids call when I got to Corinth? They already had a name for Truth Day.
Truth Day.
Is that what they called it? Right? You just write it on the board. Right?
Now they know, but that's when we take a whole day and we say, okay, all right, this section, it's bad. We need to work on it. Who is not playing it? Who is playing it? What is it supposed to sound like? And they know it's Truth Day because we're telling the truth. Can you or can't you? Are you or aren't you?
Right. And it's not a judgment. It's just, hey, we need to know so we can fix it.
Right. It's factual. It's here's where we're at. Here's how you fix it. You need to practice. So there's Truth Day. But I'm talking about just the spontaneous, you're working on a piece. We've been picking on the flutes a lot. The trombones are struggling at measure 28, and you just do a quick down the line. And for high schoolers, a little bit of embarrassment in front of their classmates goes a long way. And I remember feeling that way when I was in high school, even college. If my college wind ensemble professor said, hey, he called me Big O, play that measure, I would immediately start to panic. And if I could play it, it wasn't a big deal. It was when I couldn't play it in front of everybody that was a huge deal. So that kind of incentive goes a long way for high schoolers.
Yeah, and I think when you start going down the line, and you're like, okay, these 4 measures down the line, when like the 8th person down the line, they're practicing.
Oh yeah, they're going through it.
They're using their fingers, their slides are going. They're like, "Oh Lord, I'm soon. I got 3 minutes to learn this."
That's right. Sadly enough, I think that's a huge incentive for high school students. Another a little more positive. I feel bad. That one sounds super negative. A little more positive way. We try to record ourselves and play it for the kids as much as we can. Whether it be marching band or concert band, I think a recording of what it's supposed to sound like versus a recording of what it does sound like. Because, as a musician sitting in the ensemble, you get kind of swallowed up by everything and you forget how it's supposed to sound. So doing those little recordings and then having the kids either listen to it via Google Classroom or you sit down and listen to it together. I love that strategy. Like 2 weeks out from the concert, do a run through and just start making a list of all the things. And that kind of gives the kids some guided practice in a more personal way, like you were talking about with the pass offs. But if you're playing a piece and, from an overall perspective, it sounds good, but this one little trumpet feature, not so hot, the trumpets know that they need to go work on measure 37 or whatever. So I think recording and playing it back is a huge incentive for kids to understand what it's supposed to sound like versus what it actually sounds like.
Well, and then when the kids hear it, they're like, ugh.
Right.
And then you say comments, and someone might say, there's a lot of wrong notes.
Exactly.
And then, having that conversation, you're like, tomorrow they might go down the line. Let me
Right.
make sure that I'm down with all my accidentals and key signatures so that when it does go down the line, I'm okay.
Right. And so they're practicing something. So yeah, the grades, which you talked a lot about that with pass offs, I think that's a huge incentive for kids to practice. A little terror intimidation goes a long way. Recording and listening back and using that to guide practice, I think that's a huge one. And then as far as I think our caller said, concerns of kids being motivated. I think we've covered a lot of that, but
Right.
kids actually having the time to practice or getting bogged down. And I know this is a hard one. We're super lucky in that our school schedule has what's called Smart Lunch, or in some places it's called Power Lunch, or named after your mascot or whatever. But what it boils down to is it's an hour during the day that's just lunchtime. So for our kids, we try to incorporate as much practice time in the school day as we can.
Right.
And I think that's a huge help.
Sorry, on the middle school level, that remediation time.
That
That same
remediation
thing.
time.
That same thing.
Well, and I don't think it's uncommon for middle schools to offer like before school tutoring, even if it's just 30 minutes, because I mean, teachers usually have to be there before students anyway. So, 30 minutes before school, 30 minutes after school. I think as much time as you can try to provide the kids an opportunity to practice. If you're able, if you're able,
Sure.
I think that's a good thing.
I know band directors that just say, it's every Tuesday after school.
Right. Every Tuesday after school, 30 minutes.
Or every Thursday before school.
Right. I think every opportunity you can try to provide them helps them. And then the bogged down part, if there's something that they're not getting, you're right there. If they're sitting there working on it and going over and they don't understand it, then they can just pop over and say, "Hey, Mr. Basil, can you help me with this measure? I'm really struggling." So not only is that time provided to practice, but it's almost guided since you're there. And it's definitely probably more focused than if they're in their bedroom and brother and sister or cat and dog are walking in versus 30 minutes in the band room with all their friends. Everybody's practicing, doing their own thing. It's a little chaotic, but I think it's a little more guided and focused.
And I think in those times, there's opportunity for the older kids to help the younger kids.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, and for them, like in high school, they're in the same ensemble. Hey, how does it show this to me? And in the middle school setting, the 8th graders loved helping the 6th graders. Oh, I remember this line. Yeah, let's play it together. Those sorts of things.
Yes, and that was the last thing that I wanted to mention from a high school perspective. Healthy peer pressure.
Yeah.
Healthy peer pressure. I do emphasize healthy. With our Smart Lunch schedule, we're able to incorporate student-led sectionals. And let me tell you, if you don't attend a sectional, your friends are all over you about attendance. And again, that's just another time for them to get together and practice. But that healthy peer pressure piece, they're getting each other to show up. They're helping each other. They're working on those licks that they may not quite understand. And I think that just, drives home the family piece of band because it's healthy peer pressure. It's not negative peer pressure. It's just,
right.
It's hey, dude, I want you to get better at this so the whole band sounds better. Let me help kind of thing. So
for sure.
I think healthy peer pressure is another good high school trick, if you will.
Okay. Well, really good. Really good. So I think we covered a lot of really good stuff here. And I think the biggest way to look at it before you jump in as a teacher is how are we going to package this, right? Like we talked about before. How are we going to sell it and get the kids to be excited about succeeding?
For sure.
How can I offer opportunities for them to succeed and be excited about it and be excited when their friends succeed and that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
So, okay, great discussion.
Yeah, thanks for calling in. We really
Karen,
appreciate
it's something that every band director struggles with.
Oh yeah.
And we
Especially
know
now when they're at home and they're
for
clearly not practicing.
yes, and it's you know, it drives the success of the band, you know, how
Mm-hmm.
often the kids practice, or and not necessarily how often, but yes, how often, but also the quality.
Right.
And the last thing that just popped into my head, I would tell them, you know, you need to practice often, you know, throughout the week. You can't just practice once. It's like eating food. You can't eat 7 days worth of meals in one day and expect that to last you all the way
rest
to
of
the
the week.
next week.
Oh
It
yeah.
doesn't
I
work.
like that analogy.
It doesn't work. I would love to eat 7 days worth of meal, but 3 days later you're gonna be hungry. So
Right.
you gotta spread it out. You gotta spread it out. That's what I think.
Absolutely. I like that
Anyway,
analogy. I might have to use it.
but you can't. But it's also different because I don't know. I'm the kind of person that I don't like my food touching on the plate,
Oh Jesus.
and then I'm also the kind of person that like I have to eat. Like if I start with the potatoes, I have to eat all the potatoes. Then I will literally rotate the plate to whatever's next.
I'm gonna get
The
you one
green
of those
beans.
little dividers that goes on your plate that holds all
I
the
don't know
food
why,
apart.
and I do. Some people like bounce around, and I will go bonkers when I see someone at a buffet just loading stuff on top of stuff
Piling
that
it
doesn't go
on, piling it
together. I'm
on.
like, you can go back. You can go back again. You don't have to put it all on one plate. Those don't go together.
I'll have to remember that the next time we're at a buffet together. Now I'll be paranoid.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But that's me. That's how I eat. And I guess maybe that's how I practice. I don't know.
Do
Is
you
there
do
an
all like
analogy?
there is an analogy there. Do you do all your scales together and all your excerpts together and all your warm-ups together? Do you have to separate them out or do you just play whatever you want?
Well, let me do it this way. My instrument's percussion, and so you know, in college, you had snare drum and timpani and 2 mallets and 4 mallets and drum set, and it was like that. I would block out a time for snare drum, and it would get specific. Okay, these 30 minutes is for my rudimental snare drum. These 30 minutes is for my concert snare drum.
I'm
So
impressed
yeah,
that
I
you
guess
practice more than an hour.
practice an hour. That's just the warm up. Oh my God. I would practice just my left hand for an hour. My gracious. To have that amount of practice time now. No, but that's how you should eat food, people. And my dad would always say, "Oh, it always goes to the same place." I'm like,
Exactly.
have you tasted it when it comes back up, Dad? Come on.
Oh no. And on that note.
Oh my God. Where did this go? This turned. I don't know which direction, but not for the better. But who
Well,
knows?
back to Karen. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, Karen,
Anybody
for the
else got any
question.
ideas for us? Please, we want to hear from you guys so we
Make
know
your
what you
kids
want to hear.
practice. Practicing
kids
is
practice.
cool. Practicing your instrument is cool.
You know what? I really want to make one of those posters that you see people going around of like the football player holding the saxophone and the track star holding the clarinet. Have you seen any of those?
No, but
I
I understand. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Or the famous people with the instruments, like what Bill Clinton played the saxophone, stuff like that.
Right. That kind of stuff.
Jennifer Garner played the saxophone. Did you know that? I learned that
She
watching.
played the saxophone?
It had a name. There was a trivia question on a game show I was watching the other night. I can't remember what it was.
We need
Anywho.
to go research all the professional athletes that play band instruments.
Yeah. I
That's what
dig
we
it.
need to do. So
All
cool,
right.
man. All right, sounds good. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
Don't forget to tune in, subscribe and follow and give some stars. And hey, I'm going to put in the description and on the Facebook page the address where you can go. It's anchor.fm, but I'll put the whole thing up there where you can go and leave a voice message if you want, ask a question or make a comment, and we'll see if we can talk about it on the show. All right.
Cool.
Okay,
Sounds
great.
good. Y'all have a good day.
All right. We will see y'all next time on Teaching Band from the Beginning.
We out.